gonna get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back seat! Tell me where you are, John!
Wolfman's got Nards!
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. I want to talk about Stu Macker. I know I've spoken about him before quite a few times, but I think now's the time again to talk about him because after the events of Scream 6 and what happened in Scream 6, I personally believe that we've got the most strongest case for Stu to come back more than ever before. Now initially I didn't think this was going to happen, but initially I thought what would have been good was for us to get a reveal of Stu Macker in Scream 6 but not dying in Scream 6, carrying it over to Scream 7. And when I say a reveal, not necessarily a reveal to the characters in the film, but a reveal to the audience, something that we know that the characters don't know, and that would have carried over to Scream 7 so that the audience is a step ahead of the characters. Now that obviously wasn't the case. Stu didn't come back, but Stu was mentioned in the movie. He was mentioned by Kirby and Mindy. Now those two girls are movie buffs. Now I know that the script for Scream 6 is probably the worst in the franchise, however the script was written and what we got on screen is what we got. So when Mindy and Kirby were talking about Stu possibly still being alive, then yes, there is still hope. That could have just been for fan service, but Kirby being alive was also for fan service in Scream 5, and look how that ended up. We wanted her back and we got her back. Now with Stu Macker, there was hints of it in Scream 5 with questioning behind him still being alive, and then obviously the big questions in Scream 6, the same questions. Could he survive the TV on the head? We even saw the TV in the theatre and the shrine. So the questions were asked not just by us as the audience, but by characters in the movie. I know that Kirby wasn't the best FBI agent because someone that she worked with ended up being the killer, and her investigating Ghostface for a few years just didn't make sense. So let's assume that she's not the best FBI agent. So she doesn't even know if Stu is alive or not. Now being an FBI agent, you would most certainly know if he was alive or not. You would know if he went into hiding. You would know if he was in jail. You would know exactly what it was if he wasn't dead. But she doesn't know, or she alludes to the audience that she doesn't know. So let's just assume that she genuinely doesn't know. That still gives us a hope that Stu is alive. Now, the biggest issue that people have with Stu returning, I don't, but the biggest issue that people have is he should have been dead. He had the TV smashed on his face and he was stabbed a couple of times by Billy. Now, when you look at the stabs to Stu from Billy, that could have been just wounds. I know that Billy's not a surgeon and he doesn't know where he's stabbing, but we can assume that those were just flesh wounds and he could survive those. The TV on the head, not so much, but people have survived worse than that in real life. This isn't a real life scenario, so it's hard to explain, but when you're looking at people getting hurt in a movie, it's completely different to getting hurt in real life. So if you could survive a TV to the head in real life, which people have done, then you can most certainly survive them in horror movies. But then if you look at these horror movies as having their own rules, could someone in the Scream universe die or survive with a TV smashed on their head? Well, you can only look at the victims after Stu and determine for yourself if they could survive or not. Now, as Scream 6 is still in the cinemas, I don't have a digital copy of it, otherwise I would have shown you some examples of what happened in Scream 6. But I think with the survival rate of people in Scream 6 confirms that Stu most definitely could survive a TV on the head.
In your dreams.
Now going back into the spoiler territory guys, so if you haven't seen Scream 6 then please don't watch this bit. However, with Scream 6 and the people surviving in Scream 6, you've got Kirby who was shot and stabbed, she survived. You've got Mindy, who should definitely have been dead after getting taken to the hospital, but instead of being dead, she was able to happily skip back to the crime scene at the end and say, oh, look at me, I'm happily alive. So if she can survive something like that, then Stu can most definitely survive a TV on the head. You've got Tara and Sam who were stabbed multiple times. You've got Chad, who was literally dead when he gets stabbed multiple times. However, he survived as well. Gail Weathers, she also survived her brutal attack. So it just goes to show, and maybe radio silence are telling us that look what people are surviving in Scream 6. So Stu can and will be alive for Scream 7. At the end of the day, I don't mind that Stu wasn't in Scream 6, and it doesn't mean that I don't think he'll be in Scream 7. I still have as much hope that he will be in Scream 7 as I did in Scream 6. However, I can understand why they wouldn't put him in Scream 6, because there's no one really there apart from Gail Weathers that ties him to any reason for doing what he's done. But if you bring in Stu for Scream 7 but bring Sidney back as well, because they have the money to do it now, look at the box office for Scream 6. If they can bring Stu and Sidney back, it means that Stu's coming back for a big reason. Maybe, just maybe, he can bring Sam in to be his second killer. Sam and Stu as being the two killers, Sam being related to Billy Loomis. It would be the perfect end to Radio Silence's trilogy. So there's many ways you can work Stu in to the movie, into Scream 7, possibly as long as you bring back Sidney Prescott. So that is the reasons why I think Stu could definitely come back. The fact that these people in Scream 6 survived what they did, they would most likely be dead in real life more than Stu in real life. Yes, he got hit with a TV, but he wasn't hit in specific arteries, etc, etc. With the work that I do out with YouTube, there's certain things that I've seen and read that obviously I didn't want to, but I've seen people survive much worse than what Stu supposedly died of, whereas the characters in Scream 6, not so much. So if they can survive, so can Stu. But anyway guys, what do you think? Leave your comments down below. Is Stu alive? Do you think that with the characters surviving in Scream 6, with them surviving that, is there a possibility of Stu surviving a lesser death? As always guys, leave your comments down below, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.